Everything just changed for the Toronto Raptors entering this year's NBA draft, as of course Khaman Maluach has been the guy Raptors fans have looked at as the likely selection at the number 9 overall place. Yes, the Toronto Raptors do have some other options at the center position with Jakob Poeltl and Ulrich Shamshe coming up in the wings, but Khaman Maluach is that player that 95% of our comment section talk about in regards to this upcoming NBA draft. But new reports just dropped that revealed a major change in expectations for what Raptors fans can expect heading into this year's draft. And frankly, it sucks. So we're going to dive into what this report is saying, what we can expect from this Raptors team, and how things have changed in regards to our pursuit of players beyond just the big Giannis Antetokounmpo trade. So lots of stuff to break down out here in this video. Folks, you guys been crushing it. Hit that subscribe button as of late. Of course, lots of madness happening with the Toronto Raptors here right now. So if you're part of the 52%, that someone pointed this out in the comment section. I've been saying this wrong for weeks, but the 47% that haven't hit the subscribe button just yet, make sure you guys hit that sub button because clearly I can't read. But let's dive into it because if you're not familiar, the Raptors do have the number 9 overall selection in the NBA draft, and Khaman Maluach is a guy that basically everyone has looked at and said that is the right piece. That is the player that's projected to land where the Raptors are drafting, and should be the piece that we take given our need for a backup big. Masai Ujiri, even though said he's going to take the best player available, said as much during his postseason presser, following season presser, saying that in this draft, wherever we fall, are going to go for the best talent available. This is the answer everyone gives, but it's a unique draft, and we feel that we will have a talented player available, and we will try to get one that fits our ball club. Yeah, we need another young big. We would definitely look at that, but it's not really what we are focused on. To be honest, there are a lot of talented kids. So he did point out the fact getting another young big is important, but best talent available is, of course, the approach. But when you have the best talent available and it's a big young player that fits your system, you, of course, are going to go ahead and do it. Now, why are we all talking about Khaman Maluach? Well, he is the piece that has been projected to go to the Raptors. He's linked. He's a fit. Has that background in terms of Giants of Africa and stuff. Masai Ujiri is familiar with. So this is, the guy that a lot of people were pointing to. And it's what a lot of people have projected him to actually land in the NBA draft. Basically, from Take-a-thon, they have Khaman Maluach getting mocked 9th to the Toronto Raptors. This is coming from CBS Sports, I believe. 9th to the Toronto Raptors. This is SI, 9th to the Toronto Raptors. So what's changed, Ben? What's going on? All these mock drafts still have Khaman Maluach here at this point. Well, we have some new updates and new reports going on, as this is essentially come from Rafael Barlow, analysis on NBA Draft Guy, saying that another name that's quietly gaining traction as a potential option for the Philadelphia 76ers is Duke freshman Khaman Maluach, another player in the mix. The Texas guard Trey Johnson listed 6'6", whatever. But Khaman Maluach, I've seen him get mocked as low as 20, and I think that's absurd, him falling out there, even out of the top 10. But him being knocked up a peg, up into the top 3, where the Philadelphia 76ers are drafting, that is big, big news in terms of his draft stock, in terms of how people are looking at him, how they're looking at his camp workouts, and everything that's happening here on that front. So right now, of course, the Raptors are drafting 9th overall. We can take a look at the full order of draft selections here right now. The Sixers are in the top 3, and there's potential they could select Khaman Maluach with that selection. And as I said, that's a significant jump. That's a significant change in terms of what all the mock drafts and all these things are saying. And then a new report dropped this morning that essentially revealed more of this sentiment about him climbing up the ranks, as essentially Jonathan Wasserman came out and said that the buzz and interest have been snowballing to the point where scouts think Maluach will be a strong possibility once Flagg, Harper, and Bailey are gone. So basically that indicates a top 4 selection. And in this mock draft that I pulled this quote from, they had him going number 4 to the Charlotte Hornets, who, again, have been linked to VJ Edgecombe and different players out there at that point. So that is, again, the tide is turning in terms of the expectations of players that are going to be available at this spot. Of course, Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper seem to be, according to all reports, the 2 players that are going to go top 2 for sure. Ace Bailey, by most projections, most discussion seems to be I don't want to say a lock at number 3, but now I count Khaman Maluach and Trey Johnson are getting in the mix there. But outside of that, we've seen different orders, different amalgamations of players that are going to be available at all of these other selections. And that puts the Raptors in a very interesting spot because all these mock drafts, all these different things have different players available at all of these positions. And the Raptors, yes, we do have, Ulrich Champche, but getting a young big has been that sort of piece that a lot of people are looking for. Now, of course, there could be some big trades happening with this Raptors team that completely shakes up the roster. So, given all the reports, all the news that has come out, drafting for positional need doesn't really go that far. And Champche is a guy the franchise believes in. I mean, if we take a look at quotes, well, I brought up the wrong quote, but Champche is a dude that Masai Ujiri said at the end of the season, he was the lost rookie, the player that impressed a lot of Raptors Raptor scouts before he was drafted, scouts, but people in the Raptors organization with his defense, how things were coming together in the G League, and then, of course, dealt with an injury when he had the opportunity to come back at the end of the season and, play in those last month and a half of games where it's pure development basketball rather than going for wins. So that is all things to take into consideration. Champche could be in the mix. And, we do have a lot of guys at that center spot. Showed his stats. Jakob Poeltl is that center of the future for this team. Present, future, unless a blockbuster trade is imminent. 50 points per game, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. Really took his game to the next level last season and even hinted at a little development of a three-point shot, which is very, very exciting for Raptors fans. And the possibility of bringing Chris Boucher is still not off the table. So, according to multiple sources, there's mutual interest in having Boucher return for his 8th season in Toronto. So, bringing back Chris Boucher for next year is definitely still a possibility. So, there are options, there are different developments, there are different ways that this Raptors team will have some more bigs out there on this team, on this roster next year. But not having Khaman Maluach available at number 9 definitely hurts this team's clear path in terms of what's happening in the draft. Because basically all the mocks, they all have Maluach going to Toronto, and then things have changed. They've taken a major sort of adjustment there at this point. Another mock having Khaman Maluach going 9th overall. So it's that's an unfortunate change, but then who else? Who else is available if Khaman Maluach is not there? Because, guys like Trey Johnson, Jeremiah Ferris could be players that are at the guard position, which, of course, is more loaded for this Raptors team that could end up falling. Knuppel is a guy that impressed a lot of people out there in the tournament in terms of getting buckets, in terms of being a wing scorer, in terms of doing a lot of stuff out there on the basketball court. And one guy that we brought up a ton is, his name is slipping, but the 6'9" Russian point guard that I don't think will be that piece that a lot of people will be super excited about, but definitely could have that high upside. We're going to break down a lot of these different players just solely off the fact that now Maluach doesn't seem to be as much of a lock as it really could be because, Colin Murray, Boyles, elite defensively, but a lot of Raptors fans don't like the fit of him on the roster, and, SNU is a player with a lot of high upside for this team and, frankly, could be one of those, international prospects Masai Ujiri likes to bring into the system and have a couple years to develop, and then they shock everyone once they, become an all-star out there in their, 4th season. So we'll see how things play out. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comment section down below. You guys best thing as far as subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.